So this is part 2 of my little journey that I went on last week when I was looking at depression, and why I had this resistance around talking about this. And I think some of the resistance was because I with the principles and also with doing these Zoom calls, I don't know what you're hearing. Everything that you're hearing gets filtered through your belief system. And I can't see anyone, so I don't, you're not asking me questions, so I actually don't know what you're hearing. And I was thinking, you might be hearing, all right, so Kate, you feel down for a week. And so you think you can talk about depression. You have no idea what it's like to be depressed. Or you might be hearing that I'm saying, what you think that we've made this up? You think that we've just made up being depressed? You think it's just coming, it's nothing? And that's not what I'm saying. It's absolutely not what I'm saying. And it's like when I went to see Dave and Jen, and that day when I talked about in the other video where Georgia was sitting in the car crying. And I was saying to Jen, I said, you don't know what this is like, Jen. You don't know what it's like having a daughter who suffers with anxiety. You don't know what it's like when she doesn't get out of bed in the mornings and she can't go to school, and I've got the school ringing me, and I've got people telling me that I need to get professional help, and should she be on medication, and no one is getting any sleep, and my other two children are being neglected. And I said, you don't know what it's like. You can't know what this is like, Jen. Or it's like when Dave went to South Africa, and I remember him saying, people were presenting all these, he asked them about, their stories and their problems, and they were coming up with all these things. And for a moment, Dave thought, how can I talk to them about this? Because I don't have experience of some of the things that they're talking about in South Africa. And yet the whole point is, you're looking in the wrong place. If you're looking at the depression, or you're looking at the anxiety, you're looking at this sort of sideshow, and you're not seeing that we have a spirit that can't be broken. You're not seeing the whole. And none of us, we're all the same. We're all the same. None of us can be broken. You're not your depression. You're not your anxiety. And so I guess I am looking in a different direction. And so I don't need to worry about that. But at the same time, what came to me was this metaphor around skiing. So we've done biking and we've done cliff jumping, and now we are skiing. And this came to me because I was a bit like that. So my husband, he's one of those really annoying natural sportsmen, and he's a good skier, and I wanted to go, I wanted to enjoy myself, but at the same time I had this belief that there was something about me that made it impossible. I got vertigo and I was scared, and so it was different for me. And and we'd stand at the top of the slope, and I didn't actually hear what Pete was telling me. So I thought that he was saying to me, don't be scared. So that's what I heard. That wasn't actually what he was saying, but that's what I heard. And this is maybe why this is coming to me now, because you might not hear what I'm saying. You might hear that I'm saying don't be depressed or don't be anxious, and that's not what I'm saying. And so I heard Pete saying, don't be scared. And what it made me feel, my response to that was, because I was scared, is I felt really angry. And I would stand at the top of the slope and I would throw all my toys out of the pram. And I would just, I would have to show him how scared I was. You don't understand what it's like for me. And I'd look down the slope and I'd be terrified and I'd be crying. And and then he'd say, look, just follow me down. no, I'm not going to follow you down because I'm going to do it my way and I'm just going to get to the bottom somehow and you don't know what it's like. And I'd get to the bottom and I'd say, see, can you see now how scared I am? Can you see how hard it is for me? Right? Do you get this? Do you get that I'm different? That I don't ski like you and I am scared. And you've got to understand that I am different. And after I went and I came across the principles, I started to listen differently to what Pete was saying. And I heard something different. I think I listen differently a lot now with what everyone is saying, actually, but I heard something different than what Pete was saying. And what he was actually saying to me was, I know you're scared. I know you're scared, but the reason you're scared, Kate, is because you're not using the skis in the way they're designed. You know, he said skis have got an edge. And he said, what you're doing is innocently, because you're scared, you are swinging your shoulders to the mountain. You're leaning into the mountain because you don't want to face down the mountain. And he said, so your skis feel heavy and they don't turn. You're not using the skis how they're designed to be used. And he said, what you've got to do, if you want to feel this and if you want to join in and enjoy yourself, he said, what you want to do, what you have to do really is you've got to, just for a second, you have got to face down the mountain. You've got to face your skis down the mountain and you've got to trust that the skis are designed. You've got to trust, they will turn because you'll be on an edge and your skis will turn. And I started to hear what he was saying so differently. And so I did. I started on the more gentler slopes, and then I realized it was the same whatever slope that I was on. If I headed down the mountain just for a moment, my skis would turn and it felt different. I was like, whoa, okay. It felt entirely different. But I'd spent years thinking that he was saying, don't be scared. But he wasn't saying don't be scared. He was saying you're misusing, you're not using, you're skiing like a muppet, but you're misusing the skis. That's not how they're designed. They're not designed to be going up the mountain. They're designed to go down the mountain. And you're just misusing them. And if you use them that way, you will be scared. You will be unstable because you're not using them right. And so that was what came to me about the principles. It just takes courage to change your mind. And if you're there saying, oh, I'm failing at this and I don't get this and it doesn't work for me and I'm different, you're not. No one is. No one's different. No one's broken. It's the same. You can either change your mind and start heading down the mountain and just enjoying life, or you can remain trapped of, a prisoner in thought, but you don't have to. And then, do you know what? Another thing came to me about this belief that we have. We have this belief that we wrap ourselves in. It's like this blanket that we put around ourselves, and we look at belief and we think it's real, and we don't realize it's not real. It's not true. We bring it alive through our gifted consciousness, and we create our reality through our thinking. But none of it's actually true. And I looked at this. I don't know if it was a parable, or I remember hearing it at school, and it was probably meant for something completely different, but I don't think there's any rules, and I think I can use anything I want, how I want it. But it was about there's a man who's walking and he's got this heavy cloak on, and there's the wind and the sun. And the wind challenges the sun and said, I'm going to make him take his cloak off. Remember that? Shaking your head. And he says, the wind goes, I'm going to, well, I can pretend it's mine then. The wind says, I'm going to get that man to take his cloak off. And the wind blows and blows and blows. And what the man does is he just fastens his coat tighter and he does all the buttons up. And then the sun just shines and shines and shines, and the man just takes it off. And I think it's a bit like that. I think we we wrap ourselves in belief, and we look to our intellect, and we think and we think and we think, and we think all these beliefs are true, and they become heavy. And actually, when we find there's a possibility that that cloak isn't part of us, and there's a possibility that if you go to the light and you start to feel this energy and you see the light, and you don't have to do anything. The beliefs you just take them off. The beliefs just, that the moment that I came across this and started to reflect and reflect, the beliefs, I didn't need to do anything with them. They just faded away. They just didn't seem real anymore, and they're not real. But when you wrap yourself up in all these beliefs, they feel heavy, but you don't have to.
That's beautiful, Kate. Thank you so much. No, I've never heard that parable.
Well, it wasn't mine.
You've already said it wasn't yours. You can't say it. Thank you, Kate. This is talk 2 of 3. So hopefully you managed to find the first one as well, the one that precedes this. And then there's that's correct, isn't it? Yeah, and then there's one that happened there, mental aberration. And then there'll be a follow-on now, which is going to be the third of 3. Thank you for